Welcome everybody to the Sport Aces podcast here. Chris is here. Tom is not on today episode. Neither is my other co-host Anthony. But I'm doing the solo. We have a special guest here. I know people wondering why we doing this episode on a Sunday because it really deserves a breaking episode of the podcast because my God, we have some breaking news to talk about that's going on in the NBA, and nothing is better than having a special guest that come on this episode. I have a great guy here, alumnus of Sacred Heart University. That I was alum as well there. Um, but I want to let him introduce himself, man. You go ahead, Ryan, introduce yourself.
How's it going, Chris? My name is Ryan Snudo. I graduated from 2019, so it's been a minute since I've been with Sacred Heart. Going on like I think right now 6 years since I last graduated, so that's insane. But yeah, sports media major, with Sacred Heart. I write for the U.S. Sun. It was in what's it called? The UK, the Sun, but they moved to the U.S. Sun, to New York City, and it's been a company since I would say I think 2020. So I write on, professional sports, NFL, NBA, NHL, you name it. And I've been doing that for about, I think, already 2 years. I started freelance work in 2023 in March, and then I got full-time work in July of that same year in 2023. So I'm just so glad every single day I get to wake up just writing on sports, doing that for a living, and I'm sure you can attest to it too. It's a privilege, getting to, cover sports on a day-to-day basis.
Nah, definitely, man. It's definitely a blessing when you're able to work in the sports world, sports industry, because something happens every day, no matter what happens. And speaking of something happens every day, for anybody that's waking up right now or probably seeing the news right now that's buzzing Twitter, Instagram, or all social media, yeah, man. Doncic going to the Lakers. Uh, Anthony Davis is going to the Mavs. Um, to be honest, it's crazy how this trade happened because nobody didn't see it coming. I know my friends in the group chat said, imagine if Woj was here still working at ESPN. That Woj bomb would have been like
That would have
number
hit.
one. That'd been number one. All Rose bombs because Shams reported on it, and just imagine like at midnight you get a text and it's like, "Yo, this happened, right?" What? Like it's crazy because it's like the Mavs really traded your franchise
Yeah.
player, your franchise player
Yeah.
to the Lakers
Yeah.
for AD that's aging slowly.
Yeah, absolutely bonkers. I mean, apparently this has been, under closed doors for the last couple days. So it's obviously, it didn't just come out of whim, like, last second, let's do it. It's been a couple days since it's marinating, but it wasn't out in the public. But these Lakers, they're playing the Knicks, they're doing well without Anthony Davis. They beat the Knicks last night at MSG. And then, LeBron's, going loud, lights out, triple double action there. And for them to just finish the game and then couple hours later for that to happen, I mean, it's absolutely bonkers. I mean, you have reporters just like not even without, they can't even talk, they can't even speak because they've been in the business for so long and they've never seen this before. It's total, it was just the total bizarre, scenario to happen. I mean, I think it goes for fans. I think it's a message to fans like, obviously if like a guy is under contract, that's one thing. If you have a guy that's 5 6 years, he's probably not going to be tradable. But there are probably Mavs fans out there that have been saying it for the last couple of years, we're going to get Luka for the rest of his career, and guess what, that's not going to happen because he's now with LA. So that just goes to show you that business is business, and like it just doesn't matter when it comes to even what this guy went to the finals. He went to the finals last year, led this team. He went to the conference finals the year before. And I get the whole conditioning, this and that, but listen, this guy was supposed to be a Maverick for life. And I'm just, that just goes to show you that you just can't sit down and be comfortable and say, you know what, this guy's going to be here for the rest of his career. Guess what? This can happen.
Yeah, it's crazy because it tells you, like the NBA, nobody is safe. No
Hmm.
matter how great of a player you are, nobody's safe. And I've seen like Adam Schefter. tweeted out that the NFL equivalent is like the Ravens trading Lamar Jackson to the Bengals in exchange for Joe Burrow in the middle of the season. I'm thinking like that's not a comparison.
Yeah,
That's
he's
not a
just a
good
small
comparison.
guy.
That's like I would say that's like you trading Joe Burrow to like try to think of like an aging quarterback. Like, that's like trading Joe
And hey,
Burrow to the Cowboys
yeah,
and they get Dak Prescott.
yeah,
Like that's what it is.
yeah.
Like that's like what are we
I think,
doing?
yeah, I think it would be like okay, 20, let's maybe push the years down a little bit because the NFL years,
Yeah,
31 is not the same, in terms of NFL.
yeah,
So I'd probably say maybe even a couple of years younger NFL player that's, comparison to Luca. So let's say Lamar, but a couple years ago. And a defensive player, because Anthony Davis can do both things, obviously, but
yeah.
the Mavericks GM, put out a statement and said we want defense, and Anthony Davis brings that, whereas Luca doesn't do that. So it would probably be, NFL, maybe a defensive end, someone that's going to attack the, edge and, give you 12, 13 sacks. But he's not young. He's probably closer to 30 than to 25. So I think it's the deal like that where it just, that doesn't happen in any other sport. I mean, this is something that happens in video games, and this is what happens in NBA 2K. And I really think with this Luca deal, I still have the same reaction as I did when the trade came out. Because sometimes when the trade comes out, you're like, oh my God, like this is a total fleece, this and that. And then you start to realize, you know what, it does make sense for the Mavericks, this and that. I do think I think they improved their starting five, and obviously Luka's hurt right now. But I'm just looking in terms of like the whole complexion, next couple of years, 5, 10 years. Would you rather have Luka in 3 or 4 years from now or Anthony Davis? And I think the straight up answer has to be Luka Doncic. Like, come on, like this is a guy
I
that I get it. Conditioning was a problem. They know Luka more than the next team. But you straighten it out, man. Like this guy has done so much for you. He's a leading scorer. He's an MVP candidate every single year when he's healthy. Like this is a type of deal where I really think this is a deal that wouldn't even get accepted in 2K, and it got approved just now. It because they got how many first round picks? Did they even get a first round pick in this?
they only got from the sources of the full trade. The Lakers get Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris. And I think they get a pick as well. The Mavericks get Anthony Davis, Matt Christie, and 2029 Lakers first round pick. And the Jazz get Jalen Hurst, Shafino, 2025 Clippers second pick, and the Mavs second pick
Yeah,
of 2025. Which when you look at the trade, I think the shot value of the trade is how we looking at it is because the Mavericks is looking at we're trying to compete now. Wow, we still have Kyrie, while we still have this roster we have now. Let's try to compete now. And they feel like Luca is out with injury, and like you said, like they're concerned about his conditioning, concerned about his, defense and being a liability on the defense side of the ball. So I think the Mavs is doing what most teams would do when you're trying to win now. You have to get somebody that is going to be able
yeah,
to defend, and especially in the West, when like you look at the Mavs is a team where they're trying to compete in the back, go back into the Western Conference
hmm
finals. And looking at their standings,
yeah. They're ninth right now,
huh,
right? Eighth or ninth, I think.
they are eighth right now
Yeah, eighth.
currently.
Mm-hmm.
They're eighth, with the Lakers getting addition of Luca. I think Lakers are trying to plan for life after
Mm-hmm.
LeBron. I think what they was trying to avoid how it was when Kobe retired.
Mm-hmm.
Life after Kobe happened, you didn't plan for that. So you
Mm-hmm.
spent like the past couple years, even when Kobe was there and Kobe had deal with injuries, you didn't plan for life when Kobe was going to deal with these injuries and Kobe like leaving the game and you wasn't that good. Now you have to plan for life after LeBron. And I think, with LeBron teasing the fact that he might retire. Like
Yeah.
it's not like he can't play at a high level forever. It's just
Yeah.
sooner or later, man, you just want to take a step back from the game and just just want to just enjoy retirement.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I think overall we gotta see how it play out in the next couple of years because I know people is making jokes now talking about, well, at least the Paul George trade ain't the worst now. But we can only see what time can tell.
Yeah.
Because at the time when Paul George got traded to the, Clippers, nobody didn't think, Jalen Williams and Shea Gilgeous Alexander was gonna be who they are today.
Yeah.
But if you would have said this would be the team that happened, like this would have been the team that been here now, somebody would probably went back in time and told them, don't make that trade. Just keep SGA Jalen Williams because the Clippers is gonna be good. But that's here nor there, man. But it's just man, and like I know Jimmy Butler probably fighting the air right now.
Yeah, after all this, he still hasn't been traded, you know? You get a deal like this and he's still with the Miami Heat. Like it's just that's a story for another day, but I mean, it's just so crazy how things work out, you know, and how trades materialize. I mean, LeBron, I think we were talking about this earlier. I think a CBS reporter was on a show and he said that he was frustrated with Anthony Davis. This is LeBron. And LeBron replied back, and he basically shut that down. He shut that rumor down. I think he said an F word. I think he said that in this tweet. I think he did that in the reply. But yeah, he's. I never thought that Anthony Davis and LeBron James were, frustrated with each other. I don't think it had anything to do with that. Obviously, it just so happens that Anthony Davis is hurt. He's been great in terms of, being on the court though the last 2 years. I mean, yeah, there was a whole narrative, and it was probably true, that he couldn't play over 60 games. It was always 50 something, every single year. And last year he had over 75 games. This year he was probably on pace to do that again if it wasn't for this injury. So he's been very, durable, even for his, age. I mean, he's not too old, but he's not too young. But now LeBron really loves Luca. He really does. I think that's what is the big kicker when it comes to this. It could have been someone else that maybe be a superstar, and I don't think this would make too much sense because you want LeBron to know this guy. And if he didn't have a relationship with this guy, ex-player, he it probably wouldn't make too much sense. But with Luca, it's been a thing in the last couple of years that he really loves Luca, and I think that was a major, major thing as well. I know like the Lakers are thinking about Luca in terms of long term, but to appease LeBron in this type of way will pay dividends too. Because yes, LeBron was probably saddened to hear that Anthony Davis got dealt, but to bring back Luca, it might take him like a couple minutes, but I'm sure I think he's looking forward to Luca as of right now when he comes back to the court.
Um, it's it's just the only question that I have about the Lakers getting Luca now. I think my biggest question is going to be how can Luca and LeBron manage the floor together? Because there's two ball dominant guys
Yeah.
that run the offense in between them. So it's like, how can their chemistry work?
Hmm.
Like, with both of them on the same court, and then you have Austin
Yeah.
Reeves. It's just like they have to figure out
Yeah.
how they're best going to work with each other because
Hmm.
like when I look at the trade and like I'm gonna break down the Mavs too,
Hmm.
but when I look at the Lakers, the potential starting five that you're looking at, Luca, Austin Reeves, LeBron, Jackson Hayes, and Dorian Finney-Smith. Like, it's not a bad lineup, but it's just
Yeah.
like, can this lineup plus the bench you have currently
Hmm.
help you get to the, you know, Western
Yeah.
Conference Finals or to the finals?
Yeah.
That's to be unseen because I think JJ gonna try to figure out, and I think JJ has time to figure out how you can, manage this.
Hmm.
But I think,
Yeah.
losing AD, as a big force in the paint when he's healthy, it's gonna be noticeable when you don't have that presence.
Definitely.
It's gonna be a
Yeah, I think they're
big.
going to get someone, before the deadline. I mean, the deadline's already less than a week away. It's this week right now already.
Yeah,
But
six.
I, I think they're going to get someone, a big, to help that. Obviously, you can't replace Anthony Davis. This is basically, getting offensive production. That's what they want. And obviously you were getting that with Davis, but Luca brings a whole. I think he's like a little bit better in terms of that. End of the court. So I think it will eventually work out. This is not going to be something that's going to just happen overnight. But I think I think this was something where LeBron, he has the vision with Luca. He actually knows how to play with him. They've definitely worked out together. So this is definitely something where I think it's going to work out eventually. It's probably going to take some time. But I think what you were saying, this is more of a win now for the Mavericks, and I agree. And I see the fit, in terms of starting five better with the Mavericks than I do with the Lakers. Don't think it's done with the Lakers as of right now. So I think we can like dissect this roster right now with the Lakers. I think it's more about dissecting the Mavericks because I think they're pretty much close to being done with their structure of this lineup. And obviously Lively, they would love to have Lively right now, but he's hurt. So they have, Gafford, at the center. They have Quentin Grimes, Klay Thompson, and obviously Kyrie. But I think they could get someone too. But I think this is more about the Lakers. They probably might get a piece or two, this week. So I don't think anything is done with the Lakers right now.
Yeah, because I just look at it like, you know, looking at the roster for the Lakers, I mean, it's just time for guys to step up. I mean, Vanderbilt is coming off injury, so that's a good plus that you have like a guy's coming from an injury. Then Messi Kleber, he wasn't bad pickup for them. Either Marquise Morris. Marquise Morris bring the attitude into the picture, so it's just we just gotta see how it plays out going forward. So I do think, they do need a true big. I think they do need a center
Yeah.
because you're kind of in a position where it's like, most of your guys that supposed to be the guy is like they're out
Hmm.
currently. So it's
Yeah.
like you
Yeah,
just gotta see how it
they
play
certainly
out.
need depth. I mean, that's pretty well, you can see that with the Lakers roster at the moment. Yeah, you have guys that can contribute, offensively, but when it comes to getting boards, defense, they need some, help in terms of that department. And I think that's what Pelinka is going to do this week. I mean, man, I still can't believe this happened, though. I still can't believe it. This is just something that I think helps the Lakers now, but also in the future. And I think it's more about the future with the Lakers. But just for LeBron to have Luca, I think this is going to be really good in terms of their skill set because I think they'll complement each other really well. Luca is not a selfish player at all. That's and both are the same type of player. If you really think about it, that's the thing where I think it's going to mesh more than another player that's a superstar that needs the ball. Yes, both need the ball, but Luka is definitely not selfish. He's willing to, be, 1A, 1B to LeBron. I think they both see the vision. I think Redick will definitely, make it work. It's just a matter of playoff time and can they match up well with other teams like the Suns or the Nuggets, the Thunder. I think that's what it's going to come down to. And if you can't crash the boards, you can't support LeBron, Luca, Reeves with that. That could be something where they're going to be one and done or second round and they'll be out. So that's going to be something where they need to get some help, this week.
I think, the fact that the Mavs really made Luca ineligible for the Supermax.
That's just grimy.
Oh, like
Woo!
talk about being petty as an
That is grimy.
organization. The
Oh,
fact that you did this knowing he was supposed to get Supermax, and like they said it was supposed to be worth like 340 something mil for five
yeah,
years. I said, boy, you just missed out like 65 mil a year, man.
man,
Now when you do your contract, you gotta just take the regular 40 something mil now. And it's
that is
like
crazy. Yeah. I don't know.
it's
There's had to be something behind closed doors that we still don't know about. I mean, that has to be.
I think honestly, if, in my honest opinion, I think what probably led up to, you know, Luca probably getting traded. I think it's just because they always been talking about his condition. Talking about how he's never like looking like he always in basketball shape, which, you know, it's kind of tough because it's like, basketball shape is different from being in shape. And, they biggest and they say, reports saying he's up to 270 pounds, which is like now you go into the territory of like they probably try and use the Zion Williamson logic where those guys probably overweight now. So like how can we get him back in basketball shape?
Hmm.
Like he gonna come back, he gonna still be him, but it's like he ain't gonna really be his true self because he gained so much weight. But I think the best way that I think what Luca can do to like improve who he is and kind of make people recognize that, oh, you motherfuckers forgot about me is like how the season play out. He just need to finish through the season when he get back, finish through the season, trying to get back in like good shape so he can still be in the game or whatnot. But in that off season, you gotta grind like you was like rookie year, Luca. Like you gotta go back to him. You gotta
Hmm.
go back to that size, and then it's like, okay, now you back. That's how I think the redemption story gonna be. And I know they play against each other the 29th, I believe. So in LA, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be very interesting to
Yeah.
see that,
I think they
hey,
play. I think they play in Dallas though this month, right? I'm pretty sure. I think both teams play each other. Might be in Dallas. Yeah.
let's see. I think they do. They actually do because I look at the
Yeah.
schedule right now. They play. Well, no, they play at Los Angeles on the 25th.
Okay. And next month. It has to be next month then.
No, oh no, it's this one,
Oh, it's
February.
this month. Okay. Yeah.
Right after All-Star break on TNT, boy.
Ooh.
That's gonna be crazy. And then they
It'll be
play
beautiful.
in Dallas, April 9th on ESPN.
It's gonna be a
And
sight to
April
see.
9th. So wow.
Man, that's what I love about the NBA, man. Like it's just yes, the play is great, watching the games, but just the drama, like that's what you live for. And you know what, with the Super Bowl coming up, I always feel that there's always something that comes out in the news and it almost overshadows the Super Bowl for, a day or two, and then obviously the Super Bowl happens and everyone's into it. But
Yeah.
I feel like there's always a day. Like I remember when I was in Sacred Heart, I think it was the last year I was at Sacred Heart and the Kristaps Porzingis trade happens. That
That's
was a
wild.
huge one again with the Mavericks. So I feel like the Mavericks always try to like overshadow the Super Bowl. I think that's their agenda. I think they were just saying, you know what, screw, whatever we believe in, screw Luca. We care more about the product and we care more about owning the NFL, for one day, 1 second, and that's what the
Mhm.
Mavericks do. There's always something with them.
See, things like this kind of like shakes the, you know, like it kind of shakes how, the NBA ratings could, change, and it's just crazy because like the NBA needed something like this to get their eyes back on them again because before this trade, it was like really didn't have like much of something that people would like to see. But now it's like,
Yeah,
okay, now you got our attention again now.
yeah,
Because like we needed this. We need something crazy
yeah,
like this to happen. But
yeah,
beyond this trade, hopefully the rest of this week, man, I tell people, make sure they keep an eye out for any future trades happening. I mean, hopefully, Jimmy Butler get traded. They said like Cameron Johnson for the Brooklyn Nets might get traded. Bulls Zach Levine might get traded, and Sacramento Kings is shopping out De'Aaron Fox. So hopefully we
yeah.
can see what can happen next there. But speaking of Super Bowl, man, Super Bowl week is here now. You know, Super Bowl week is here. Ah, the last
Yeah.
hoorah. Man, we really just like here part two, it's like Rocky versus Apollo Creed
Hmm.
2. It's just like, the Chiefs versus the Eagles.
Yeah.
Who's really gonna bring it home? Man, do we go with the three-peat? Do we go with the first time Super Bowl winners and Hurts and Saquon? Like it's it's just a crazy,
Yeah.
things happening right now.
Definitely. I'm sticking to my Super Bowl prediction. I mean, it's not a crazy prediction before the year, but I really thought the Chiefs would three-peat before the year. I had a feeling it would happen. I just feel with, the coaching staff, obviously Andy Reid, leading the charge, with Patrick Mahomes. We all know like who's on the team. And we all know like you know, they know what pressure is and they know what happens, when their backs against the wall. And they've obviously, beaten the, Bills, and obviously the Texans beforehand, and they're playing this Eagles team. I'm sticking to it. I think the Chiefs will come out, with the victory. It's going to be close, I think, obviously. And I just think with this, the way I think if you look at both rosters, yes, the Philly roster is better. I think it's I'm not going to say much better, but it's better top to bottom, with just their defensive stars on that team, offensively as well, the playmakers that the Eagles have. I think it all comes down to the quarterback and the head coach and the experience. And obviously, the Eagles have the experience, but just the winning experience that the Chiefs have. And Andy Reid just leading the charge. I really think with Mahomes, you don't want to have them with the ball in their hands at the end of the game. I mean, we saw that, with the Bills game. Like you can't just just can't go 7 plays, 19 yards and give the ball back to the Chiefs with 2+ minutes left in the game, and it's pretty much going to be over. So I really think the Chiefs are going to get it done. I've been confident, and this is the type of bet that obviously I'm not a betting guy, but at the same time, I would stick with the Chiefs, and if they lose, so be it, man. Like there's certain bets that people make, and you say to yourself, you know what, I'm second guessing myself, this and that. Why are you second guessing yourself if you're betting on the Chiefs? And if it doesn't happen, you say to yourself, you know what? Like that's the very rare chance this doesn't pull through, because we all know what the Chiefs are capable of, both on offense and defense, and with Spagnuolo and his pass rush. Like they just find ways to win, whether it's, for the benefit from the refs or, just from timely plays. They're very opportunistic. They run plays in the playoffs that they weren't doing in the regular season. And that just throws teams completely off. The Bills didn't see that run with Mahomes coming. They run those plays, not the Chiefs, and they run that on them. So the Chiefs just throw snowballs at you from any side, any corner, and you just have no idea it's going to come and hit you in the head. And I think that's what the Chiefs will do again to the Eagles.
It's this is going to be an interesting game because, like, before getting depth in like my prediction, I look at the game overall where, you know, the Chiefs, Mahomes, Andy Reid, Kelsey, that trio is always, you're gonna favor them because the experience in the Super Bowl, Mahomes always finding a way to win. Andy Reid, facing this old team he used to coach. Everybody is gonna go with the Chiefs because, you know, that's who you feel like has the better chance to win overall. But the Eagles is a team where we're seeing an Eagles team that's very, now they're like getting glorified now. Like everybody is on the Eagles bandwagon because you have Saquon who's carrying the team with the rushing. Jalen Hurts is playing pretty well. It's not as great as you would see like a 400, 300 passing yard game, but he's still getting the game, still managing the game well. And the defense is playing pretty strong. My thing is for this game, it's going to come to the X factors of the game, which is going to be the people that's not the star players who's going to step up in these high moments. Because when you look at some of the games, it's like who's going to step up? Like if Saquon have they stopping Saquon from getting going, is Jalen Hurts going to have to throw the ball more? But if you throw the ball more, who's going to step up in the receivers? Is
Yeah.
Goddard is going to step up? Is Devontae Smith going to step up? Is it going to be AJ Brown? Or is it going to be the slot guy that nobody really talks about for real? Everybody plays a part. Even with the Chiefs, like you don't know who could go off. Like,
Yeah.
what if Juju decided I'm gonna go off in this game?
Yeah.
DeAndre
Even
Hopkins,
yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins playing his first Super Bowl. DeAndre Hopkins might want to win it because this is first Super Bowl he ever appeared in his career.
Yeah.
So it's like it's so many X factors beyond the star guys that people have to start to take consideration that can make it break the game. And it's all about being disciplined as well. I think this game, you have to play discipline. If you're the Eagles, you've been here before, you've been playing against the Chiefs before, you know you got to play a little bit of discipline. You can't play the rough, tough game because you know a flag is going to get thrown out there. The
Yeah.
minute you touch 15 a certain way, you know there's going to be a lot of flags thrown. So they have to play discipline. The minute you play undisciplined, it's going to show and then it's going to affect the outcome of the game overall. So the Cowboys in me don't want to see the Eagles win. Cowboys fan in me don't want to see them win. But I think this is going to be an overtime type of game where this is going to come down to the very last possession for both teams because I think Hurts and Mahomes, I think they go really battle it out. And it's gonna be like a phenomenal battling out game where it's like, wow, this is might be the best Super Bowl we've ever had in a long time.
Yeah. I don't think any prediction, entering this game is crazy. I think anything can happen because of the talent that both teams have. I mean, there's a reason why the Chiefs are a point and a half favorite. It could be a pick 'em. I think honestly the Eagles should be the favorite if you think about it, if you look at it in terms of a roster. But you equate, you look at the history of the Chiefs. There's a reason why they're the favorite, and you see, I think that's the reason why they're the favorite. But looking at both rosters, man, like you said it best, X Factor. We saw it last week against the Bills. Xavier Worthy, being out there, being used. He easily could have had a touchdown in that game. I think if he just keeps going instead of going to the sideline, he's the type of player that, again, could, um, you know, just break one. You could just break one because I get it. The corners are really good. You got Slay, you got Cooper DeJean on the slot, you got Mitchell. But all it takes is just one missed tackle. That's all it takes when it comes to Xavier Worthy and some of these guys. And that's what Mahomes is going to have to do. He can't he knows what he's doing. I mean, I'm not telling him he knows what he's doing, but the outside guys, he knows the outside corners are so good with Philly that I think Kelsey should have a good game. I think, coming off a two reception game, he was obviously quiet. But there was a reason why they were throwing to other guys than Kelsey because Elam was out there. He was getting torched, in that Bills Chiefs championship game. There was a reason why Kelsey wasn't getting targeted. It was because Elam was out there. There were other guys that were open. And Kelsey only had two catches at the end of the day. I think this game, Kelsey's going to have a lot more than two. I think he should get four or five, maybe more than that. And I think you can't just forget about. I know it's obviously Travis Kelsey, but I think Kelsey should have a good game in the middle of the field, just knowing those outside corners and that he won't be covered by Cooper as well.
No, definitely, definitely. And man, it's just I'm very excited to see how this gonna play out, man, because I'm a bad man, so hopefully I hit big. It'd be great if I hit big off the Super Bowl, because then that's like now I'm done. Now just waiting for baseball season. Because
Yeah.
NBA, I'm not touching NBA, but that's here nor there. But like, man, besides the like, Super Bowl, I know like a lot of changes in the with a lot of NFL teams with the coaching hires, man. Like, first of all, let me just Duval like that.
Oh God. Oh,
That was the most
oh
cringy.
no. Oh
Oh
no.
my God, I couldn't do nothing but laugh because it's like,
Oh
oh, like why are you saying it like that? Like,
man,
like that
that's
let
just like I think he's a good coach, but I think it just foreshadows what his tenure might become just with that,
uh
moment.
if they have a bad season this year, I know what video we need to pull up that
Yeah.
clip, and that's gonna says it all.
It's literally a
Um,
version of Adam Gase in his eyes, with that Jets press conference 6 years ago. Like it's just almost the same type of deal, That just foreshadows his tenure.
oh man, man. So as far as like the head coaching grades, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna start off with my team. I'm gonna give a high grade of a D or a F. I think it's because this is what bothers me about my team. I think we didn't have a plan at all for letting go McCarthy. I think, Jerry was holding it off like he was doing as usual, just playing the media game like, oh, he could be back, like selling the dream that he's gonna be back. But it's like, where did that get you? Nowhere. So now you brought in, you promoted Brian Schottenheimer from offensive coordinator to, you know, head coach. And I know people probably was like, oh, I didn't know he was the offensive coordinator last year. Nobody knew. Unless if you're a Cowboys fan, you knew he was the offensive coordinator, but he was never calling the plays. So it was like kind of like he was just there. He was just there just because he had the title. But for like it was the press conference and Jerry
Yeah,
like the spot head coach like getting emotional like what are we doing like
yeah,
what are we doing Jerry like
yeah,
you brought in a guy who in his career of being like an offensive coordinator he never had a top 15 offense and people be like well what about the Jets when he was there with the Jets with Rex Ryan the defense saved most of their careers. Like
yeah.
let's be
And not
real.
and,
Like
and even if someone wants to give credit to him for those years, that was 15 plus years ago. That
yeah,
was
like
15 years
fucking
ago,
yeah,
man. That's like what are we doing? We're in the year 2025 right now.
like people just don't want to accept the fact that like this was a bad hire. And like to me, I think it's a bad hire. Now going to the season, could he surprise me and like make a playoff team out of it? I mean, I'd be surprised as a fan. I'd be very surprised. But if you ask me generally, I'm gonna say no. I think it's like the dumbest thing. Like we hired a guy had no head coaching experience
Yeah,
at all, and like he wasn't really no guy that's like I could see like we really should have got. But to
yeah.
each his own. I think he's gonna have a lot of pressure. But I think only reason why we hired him because Jerry just wanted a guy to boss around.
Yeah. The perception looks really bad. Even Jerry admitted in the press conference that this is big of a risk as you can take. I mean, you just don't hear that from anyone, you know. You don't hear that in press conferences. So that just automatically tells you the perception and shows you the perception of this move. I mean, first of all, I don't think they necessarily half-assed it, but it looks like they half-assed it the way they ran their shit.
We definitely have
Really,
that
like
shit.
for him to first of all hire Schottenheimer, it was obviously it happened, whatever, came out of nowhere. But to miss out on all those guys that were getting interviews, like the Aaron Glenns of the world, the Ben Johnsons of the world, I mean, that's more than half the reason why it looks so bad. I mean, first of all, I think Schottenheimer is a bad hire, but I think more of the reason why it was the process. The process just made no sense. It really seemed like it was like a minor league squad, making this type of move where they just had no idea what they were doing. I mean, Jerry's been in this game for so long, and for him to botch this, I think it was all up to that one extra year with Mike McCarthy. I think McCarthy wanted five, Jerry and company wanted four, and it just didn't work out. So be it. But for it to linger, and then I remember there was a report that they're going to talk, and it's Friday, and then the weekend happens, and then that Monday we find out it doesn't happen. It's not going to happen with McCarthy and Dallas. First of all, I didn't think they should have brought back McCarthy. I really didn't, even with the context of the season. But at least know people that you want to hire during the season. The tea leaves were there. I mean, they were going to probably move on from McCarthy for quite some time. And for them to just miss out on all those guys. Hell, I think if we were sitting here right now and Deion Sanders would be the head coach of Dallas, I think you'd be more confident. And I think the whole rest of the world would be more confident in Dallas than what is going on right now. And I honestly didn't think hiring Sanders was the number one move. I think honestly, if I were the Cowboys, I think Kellen Moore would have been the guy if you were going to miss out on Glenn, and those other guys. But I think if you were sitting here with Deion Sanders, you'd be a little bit more confident right now. But even you don't even get that pleasure.
I'm gonna be honest. My hot take was I wasn't a big fan of Dion being the coach.
Hmm.
I, I'm I
I
would be
just think
okay
with
with
Dion, it's
Kellen
about
Moore.
it's like the leadership qualities. He wouldn't be calling the plays. He'd be there as a leader. He would handle, offense and defense. I agree. I didn't think that was the number one move for them. I think it was a whole type of, media attention, Adam Schefter putting out that report that Jerry and Dion talked. But if Shador is not going to be there, it wasn't going to happen. And Shador is just going to go to Tennessee or Cleveland or New York or wherever, and Dion won't, follow him and he wants to stay in Colorado. I just thought the whole process was completely botched, and Kellen Moore probably should have been the guy. He was with Dallas too. He played for Dallas. He was a coordinator for Dallas for quite some time. He's the guy. He's the guy that's running the offense in Philly right now. You could take him from Philly, and they don't even do that.
I think they should have waited and gotten Kellen Moore personally. The reasons why I wasn't a big fan of Dion going to the Cowboys, I think Dion is perfect for just the collegiate game
Yeah.
currently. I think he has more to prove at Colorado now than anything. Because I think for me, my biggest question mark for Dion is can he win the big games? Like, can he win a bowl game? Can he win this? Can he do this? Because I gotta see him be a real true coach without his sons being there, without Travis Hunter. Like I want to see this season be a season where you don't have nobody there that you have emotional ties to. Now, like you really have to coach. And like by so far looking at the talent, the roster they have currently, that's been training and doing workouts there, they have potential to might shock the world still with the current roster they have here because I think people probably think Colorado's gonna fall off. I think this whole process it was botched because when you don't like I agree with you when McCarthy should not have been brought back this past season. I felt like once the Packers lost, once we got blown by the Packers, that should have been clearing the fuck house.
Yeah.
You should clear the house right from there.
Yeah.
That was my thought when we first lost. Clear a fucking house. There's no excuses for that. And the fact that you brought him back for another season, then you didn't do the job that you're supposed to do is sign these guys on contracts before these bigger contracts come about. Like
Yeah.
you could have signed CD to a good deal last season, and then you wouldn't have to worry about like, damn, I gotta pay him this much because Justin Jefferson got this deal. Oh, sorry. Now I have to pay CD more than Justin Jefferson now, or near Justin Jefferson price.
Hmm.
And then you could pay Dak earlier before most of these other quarterbacks getting their money. Now, oh, you wait till the first game of the season now
Yeah.
to get this deal done. Now it's like you thinking people gonna really want to be a cowboy. Nobody don't want to look at being a cowboy.
Yeah.
But look, to
Yeah.
this zone, I felt like we fumbled everything from not
Yeah.
getting Derrick Henry in the offseason, which it's right there for us to get him, and we don't get him, but we sign fucking Zeke fucking, Dalvin fucking Cook as our fucking running backs. Like we getting the all pro team from fucking a decade ago, and we over here like ramming about that. Like, no, like you gotta do better.
Yeah. It's easy to say it now, but you had Dan Quinn in that building. You had him in that building, you know? I think obviously the defense looked bad in that Packers game in that playoff game. But he's been there, done that. Quinn, he led the Falcons to that 28-3. You know, obviously unfortunate how things went for the Falcons in that Super Bowl, but man, you couldn't have just found a way to I know obviously getting a head coaching job is more enticing than staying as a defensive coordinator in Dallas, but I just felt like you had Dan Quinn in that building, man. And I think it's, again, it's easy to say it now, but there was just so many things that went the other opposite way for the Cowboys that we could look back and say, man, if this, and this went the other way, man, at least one more playoff win last year, or maybe finding a way to make the playoffs this year. I think from the get-go this season, it just did not feel like you were ever coming back to the playoffs. Just with the way shit went down in the offseason with the rumors every single second with CD and Parsons now. We're getting with Parsons, Dak. So, and Jerry loves it. Jerry loves it. He loves the headlines. You obviously know it. He loves to, play with the media, play with the players too, not just the media, but the players mindset. So it's just reeks of dysfunction in terms of the head coaching vacancy process. And I'm looking at other teams. The Bears, man, it's so funny how shit went down with the Lions getting eliminated. Then the next day, boom, he's a Bears head coach.
The
Um,
Bears is loading up. What a great coaching staff. Like
yeah,
Ben Johnson bringing like a lot of noble names. Like Eric Bieniemy coming back to the NFL
yeah,
as the
hmm
running backs coach. Like, wow. Like it's and before we go to like the Lions and how everything happened there, uh, you know, the Raiders getting Pete Carroll, Pete Carroll coming back, being one of the oldest coaches, and that division alone has like a lot of old coaches. But you know, I'm hearing reports that it may be a reunion with him and Russell Wilson. So
hmm,
we call to see how far it can go there.
yeah,
Mike Vrabel, another former player becoming the head coach of a team he played for. Then bringing back Josh McDaniels, which no matter what anybody says, he's gonna always get a job with New England. No matter
yeah.
what. No
It's the
matter
third
what.
time now, right? Third time, I
Third
think.
time's a charm, I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
Bring it
Every time
back.
was a charm, though. I mean, Brady obviously helps, but every single time he goes there, they end up having success.
Because and then you have like a young quarterback in Drake May.
Yeah,
So, now they might come back and make some noise this upcoming season. But, and then, Liam Cohen, that weird Jaguars scenario where at first he wasn't gonna go to the Jaguars because of GM. And then like he's told the Bucks, yeah, I'm coming back. And then the GM got fired for the Jaguars. And then he traveled to Jacksonville and said, hey, I'll be the head coach now. And it's like we don't know what was happening. But
yeah,
back to all that to round it out to come to the Bears, where the Bears and the Jets made some great hires. Again, like coordinators from the Lions, which, Dan Campbell, he did promote, guys within the staff that he already had. Um, my biggest question for the Lions is like how they going to pan out, losing two impactful coordinators from
yeah,
their team. But, with the Bears getting Ben Johnson, perfect hire. Um, I thought it was weird when he was trolling Matt LaFleur in the Packers.
yeah.
That like
Well,
Matt
that's a
LaFleur,
little brother type thing, doing
but the
that.
crazy thing is Matt
Yeah,
LaFleur don't even know this gentleman, which is
yeah,
10 times funnier now because now you make it look like, oh, I'm just going at the Packers. He put in the Lovey Smith. Like, all right, I see what you're doing there. But, guy having Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Swift, Roma Duze, Cole Kmet
I
on the
met.
offensive
Yep.
side of the ball, like
Hmm.
you really have like a good, roster,
Yeah,
and then, looking in the free agency, like got $70 million, I believe, to have in cap space. So
Yeah,
like you can really the biggest thing they need to focus on is build your offensive line.
I was just about to say that.
Build that offensive line first because that's going to be the key to a lot of them winning a lot of games. And I think their improvement is going to be a slow process, but I think it's going to probably give us like hope, like they might be a wild card team potentially next year. That's my ceiling for them.
Yeah.
It's a wild card team next season. That's my ceiling for them. How you feel about the Bears?
Yeah, you were talking about the both hires, for the Chicago Bears and the Jets. I think both those teams needed coaching desperately. I mean, there are a couple wins you could say that didn't go, the Bears or the Jets' way last season that you could have said, you know what, they should have won this game. I feel like at least two or three for each team could have gone the other way if it wasn't for coaching. We saw it with that Seahawks game. I mean, it was just a disaster in terms of offense. Thomas Brown was being put in for interim in that situation. But I just think both teams needed coaching desperately. With the Bears, it was just so stagnant on offense. And I get it, Eberflus, when he was the head coach, he's not offensive. He's a defensive-minded coach.
Which he came to
Um,
the Cowboys now. So
yeah,
I mean, I'm okay with him being on DC, but
as long as he's not the head coach.
yeah,
But anyway, with the Bears, it was just so stagnant on offense. Obviously the offensive line was, putting, Caleb Williams out to dry. And yeah, there were certain instances where Caleb should get the ball out and he was taking too many sacks. Because I honestly think, this is my opinion with sacks, I think most of it is on the quarterback. Because you look at Mahomes, I get it. You can't compare Mahomes to everyone, but he knows how to not take sacks. A lot of the great quarterbacks know how to not take sacks. And Caleb, I mean, he's a rookie, so I just feel
yeah.
like that's not going to happen in the next couple of years. The new head coaching staff, Ben Johnson, is going to tell him get the ball out. And you know what? That wasn't happening for Caleb last year. Coaching wasn't telling him to do that. And if it was either on the coaching or Caleb, because obviously it wasn't working with the previous coaching staff. So I think that's what Ben Johnson is going to implement. Plus, I mean, it goes without saying with the play calling. Ben Johnson's a great mastermind. Didn't work out against Washington. I feel like Washington just had so many things going for them in terms of offense and defense. So yeah, it didn't look good for Johnson nor Glenn in that game. But let's be honest, like there were a lot of injuries, on that defense for the Lions. So just for them to always be on the field was terrible for the Lions in that game. So I really feel like the criticisms on Glenn and Johnson, you shouldn't just look at that one game. You should look at the whole totality of the season. And they led, one of the best offenses and one of the best defenses in the league. And I really like the Jets hire with Glenn. Obviously, I didn't mention it earlier, but I am a Jets fan. I try not to be biased. At first, I was halfway with Glenn, but just looking at these other hires, I mean, yeah, there are good hires here and there, but I just feel like with Glenn, his leadership and just he's been in that building before. Just people respect him. And I get it, it's not a game of respect, but he honestly will tell a player straight up what he's doing wrong. I feel like a lot of coaches, example Robert Saleh, weren't doing that. They were just looking at one aspect and they weren't, looking at other aspects of the team. And I think that's what Glenn will do. And I think Johnson will find a way to do that as well.
I think the Jets hiring Aaron Glenn by far was the best hiring of this coaching cycle
Hmm.
because, and I have friends as Jets fans. I think y'all needed that change. I think y'all needed the coach to come in with an attitude that we gotta get all this dumb shit out the window. Willie Johnson realized, let me take a step back, which do that. You should have been fucking doing that. And I think Jerry needed to do that too. But Jerry forever is going to stay around and try to put his input in everything.
Yeah.
Willie Johnson realized, let me take a step back and not interfere with team business. But you see how successful you can be. I think everything that happened these past 2 years, I'm not gonna put all on Saleh.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put all on Saleh. Saleh played a part, but I feel like Aaron Rodgers fucked that whole organization up. and set them back like a year or two. And it showed. It was just sad because like he get hurt for out. He was out of the season his first year there, and it was like, damn, like what could have been if he
Yeah.
played that first season. Then this past season, it was like the first half of the season, we did not know who the hell he was. Second half of the season, he was playing like Aaron fucking Rodgers
Yeah.
out of nowhere. But I literally believe that like he's I think Aaron Glenn is gonna make tough decisions. And shout out to that GM y'all brought in too as well, which
Hmm.
is that was a good hire as well. I think
Hmm.
their vision is, going into this, upcoming year, you gotta make tough decisions because you let go Aaron, you might have to let go Devontae Adams. Then you're in the risk process of Gary Wilson might demand a trade, which unfortunately I can't blame him because like I told people
Yeah.
that's Jet fans, if I'm a wide receiver and I know I'm a wide receiver one, I'm a potential Pro Bowl guy, but I don't have no consistent quarterback play every year since I've been here, kind of want to leave too.
Yeah.
So, but it depends how I play out because you come into free agency, you kind of got to make that decision, see who you let go. Now it opens up salary cap if you let go, Aaron Rodgers out the door, Devontae Adams out the door. So now you're probably getting a little bit of money in salary cap where depending on who you want to bring in the quarterback position. I'd be surprised they keep Aaron Rodgers for one more season, but that means you might have to draft a quarterback in the second, third round of the NFL draft so you can prep them up or just prep up Jordan Travis that's coming back from, his injury from college. But it's like Aaron Glenn made it clear. And I think the reason why I like Aaron Glenn because Aaron Glenn played under Bill Parcells. And I think everything he's coming in with a Bill Parcells mindset of he ain't taking no bullshit. He a defensive minded coach as well. So defensively, he's going to get their defense together.
Hmm.
I think this past year we start to see like the fall off of Sauce this past year. Well, Sauce wasn't really him this past year season, but to round it out, man, I think this is probably the best hire that I've
Yeah.
seen this cycle.
Yeah, I like that Glenn's not going to be calling the plays, to have Steve Wilkes, with experience, he's going to be there. He led the 49ers a couple years ago to the Super
A
Bowl.
guy that I feel like should never been fired at all,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you
And for some
know,
reason, he's one and done in a lot of places, and that's the one thing that like makes is weirds me out a little bit with Steve Wilkes. But with the Carolina Panthers, 6-6 as an interim head coach. Again, like I was saying with the 49ers, led them to a Super Bowl with that defense, and obviously you run into the Chiefs. That's what's going to happen. They lose, but I really like the guys that they're hiring. Like I said with Wilkes, Tanner Engstrand. He's a Lions guy. He was the passing game coordinator for Detroit. He's now the offensive coordinator for the Jets. First time, I get it. First time calling plays, in his career. He's a young guy, but I just like bringing in these Detroit guys, these guys that know culture. I get it. Culture is kind of an overrated thing. You got to bring that winning to the next place, and it might not happen. Lord knows with the Jets, and most of the time doesn't happen at all. But I just like. I think they brought in a couple of former guys too on that staff. Chris Banjo for special teams. Really good special teams player when he was in the league. Chris Harris, cornerback. He's going to be on the staff too. He was with the Broncos. He had multiple Pro Bowls. He's going to be on that staff too. So I think a lot of things make sense logically. In terms of the coaching staff and the hires, especially like you were saying with the GM from a new GM for the Jets. He's with the Broncos. I can't pronounce. Is it Darren Moogie? Maugi? I forget how. I can't even know how to pronounce it. But
uh,
yeah, he's the GM now. He's with Sean Payton. He's been with the Denver Broncos for a little bit. So I really get, the hires, and even Woody Johnson. I always say that, well, it's not a hot take, but Woody Johnson is one of the worst owners in the league. But at the same time, in that press conference, he actually admitted, I need to do better. That's admitting is the first step. And, I really think that Woody Johnson and a lot of these owners are just so selfish and are so, wrapped up thinking that whatever they do is the right move. And if it doesn't work out, it was on that person or on that player. But for Woody Johnson to finally say, I need to be a better owner, like that's like something that should have been said obviously a long time ago. But for him to say that now, I honestly think that admitting is a first step. And look, this might not work out, but I really, in terms of the hires, it does make a lot of sense what he's done to bring in these guys, head coach, GM, et cetera, et cetera.
Nah, it's true, man. And it's just interesting how, you know, it, it's just Woody understands where his fuck ups at. And I think he probably just realizing, let me take a step back from trying to be into like team operations. And for me, I think for me as a Cowboys fan, I think I accepted the fact that look, I'm gonna have to deal with the bullshit until the day Jerry Jones is no longer with us. That's when I'm gonna start seeing like a Super Bowl. But for right now, I'm not seeing nothing great with the Cowboys happening in
And
these
for
next
Stephen
3 years.
Jones to have a big position in that organization too, it's just going to continue, even after Jerry leaves,
Uh,
that's the
it's
thing.
just annoying. It's annoying me because it's like I see a team that has great potential to do more, but it's just like they just hold themselves back because like they keep putting themselves thinking like we're in the 90s still, where like you don't need as many pieces to make a run, but like these days you have to come out of your pocket and like sign these guys. You have to make moves in free agency. You can't not do nothing in the free agency and think, oh, the
Yeah.
draft is gonna be my go-to. Like it's gonna help, but you need these free agents that's out there. So,
Yeah.
but hopefully, man, this NFL season is gonna end in the week and it's gonna be all basketball now.
Yeah.
And then
By the way,
until
what's
baseball.
your Super Bowl prediction for I don't think you said it.
Man, if I had to, but before we wrap up this episode, I'm gonna give my prediction. I'm gonna have to go with I'm gonna go with Chiefs over Eagles by 3.
By 3. Yeah. I think I'm gonna go Chiefs 27-24. That's probably gonna change, within the next week. I'll probably change the score a little bit, but I think it's again, I didn't mean to say the same thing, 3 points, but around that range, three, because I saw a stat actually where I don't think a Super Bowl's actually been like, the difference, in terms of the winning team, losing team. I think it's always more than three. I think that's always been a thing. So that I might change it a little bit. It's usually four or more. Or I think that actually I don't think there's been a Super Bowl ever where it's been 1 point or 2 points difference. So it's either three or
Oh,
more. So it's usually it never happens, unless, something crazy happens like a safety or, we see that all the time, blocked extra point. So you never know. But I think it's not going to be high scoring like you saw with the Eagles Commanders. Not going to be low scoring either. I think it's going to be right in the middle. And I think that's what we want to see as fans. A little bit of defense, a little bit of offense. I think we're going to get that dose.
yeah, because I want to be a high scoring game overall. Because I think,
Oh, you wanted
we
high scoring, like big time, like
yeah, because I
because
think,
we saw that 38-35 a couple years ago. So I kind of want to see something a little bit different.
yeah, but like I don't want to be like no like low scoring game because then if it's a low scoring game, like
Yeah.
you kind of like get uninterested in watching the
Mhm.
game
Oh yeah, I
in
mean,
a
I don't think,
sense.
like I said, I don't think it's gonna be low scoring. I don't think it's gonna be like that Rams Patriots game, 5, 6
Oh
years
my
ago. That
God.
was that was brutal to watch because I
Oh,
love defense more than the
so
next guy, but I think there was a lot more bad offense in that game, to be honest. So
that year was just like it
yeah,
was just. I think personally, I think it was just like bad. It was just overall, it was just bad.
yeah. Jared Goff seeing that guy open and he should have thrown it a half a second earlier, and then McCourty blocks it. So
It was
that
like
was
the
a lot of
last
things.
5 minutes of that game was like the best thing to watch.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
yeah, that was it. But nah, I think it's gonna be like a 41 to
Ooh,
38 type
wow.
of game where,
Oh shit. Okay.
I did say, it's gonna
Yeah.
go OT. It's gonna go
Okay.
overtime.
Okay.
And what I think is going what's gonna happen is it's gonna be a play that is gonna probably change the course of the game. Like it's
Maybe.
gonna be like a Saquon fumble. That's gonna
Mhm.
be like
Something we don't even see coming.
something that we don't see
Yeah,
coming. It's gonna be a
McCaffrey
Saquon.
fumbled in the Super Bowl last year. McCaffrey fumbled.
Look, man, if Saquon fumbles, man, that
Yeah.
might be the game changer. And I'm gonna be
Yeah.
like this.
That's all it takes. That's all it
Hey,
takes. Could be
hey,
anyone. AJ
hey,
Brown, he
hey,
could be making a play. Boom. Someone punches it. That's just what
yeah,
happens in
like,
this game,
and then they mentally out the game sometimes. So like, you never
Yeah.
know.
That's why I like the Chiefs so much in this game because I get it. I don't think the Eagles, turn the ball over either. But I really think the Eagles, I feel like they're due, for a couple turnovers. And I'm not a hater of Hurts per se, but I think he's due for a turnover or two, and that could be the difference because with Mahomes, he doesn't do it. So that's all it takes. So I really think it all comes down to keeping the ball. And I get it, the Eagles defense forces a lot of turnovers, but I think the same thing could be said about Hurts. I think he could, you saw it with that Super Bowl 2 years ago, fumbling and them returning it for touchdowns. So you never know. I trust Mahomes more than Hurts. I know it's not always a quarterback versus quarterback game, but I think with Mahomes, that sometimes that's all it takes.
Indeed, man. But before we wrap this episode up, man, where can the people find you, Ryan?
So you guys can find me on my Twitter, Sanudo. It's not the easiest name to pronounce, to spell, but it's SANUDO underscore Rye RY, and that's on X, Sanudo underscore Rye. You can check me out on the U.S. Sun. I write on football, NFL, NBA, MLB, you name it. And I write daily, every single week. I get paid to do it, and I love it. I go into the city a couple times a week. So yeah, you can see me over there. Instagram Ryan Sanudo again. So, and that's about it.
All right, since you be in the city, man, you need to get you a chopped cheese, man. That's what
Ooh, ooh.
that's the point.
Couple places nearby me that can do that. Couple
Yeah,
bodegas.
yeah, I think you need to get that. I think you need to get that because
Yeah,
every
yeah,
time I go in the city, that's the
yeah,
first thing I'd be looking forward to get for food wise.
yeah.
Sometimes that's just me though.
Hey,
But
yeah, I might do it now.
but I want to thank everybody for watching this episode of the Sports Podcast. We'll drop more episodes coming this week. But like, comment, subscribe, share it with a friend, tell a friend to share it with another friend. But to conclude this episode, I'm Chris Ortega,
Ryan Sanudo.
and we will see y'all next episode.